It's not about your qualification. It's about God's elevation. What God will use to elevate you may be different from your qualification. God is using the education you have to test you whether you can really be trained. In the midst of your education, He's trying to train you. It's not about education. It's about training, which God is giving to you. And He uses so many areas of life. He will use fortify. He will use prison. As a matter of fact, they used to say that the process that this guy went through, Joseph, was pit, pastor in training. And God uses so many things before you see. He didn't even know from the pit, his brother put him inside, and they drew him, and they sold him to Ishmaelites. Ishmaelites sold him to Egyptians. From the Egyptians' house, Potiphar's house, he got into prison. He didn't actually know that what was meant for him was the throne of Egypt. And yet, look at all this squalor and all these unreasonable, very difficult processes that God takes him through. All the time that God was stopping me from marrying this and marrying that, I thought God was tormenting me. One day I asked God, I said, can we be truthful to each other? It was, I think late in the night in the church, I was alone. I said, am I supposed to be a reverend father? I just need to know if I'm supposed to be a reverend father, because this is too much. Talk to this one, the thing end up in the rock. Talk to that one. As a matter of fact, God Himself will come to me in a revelation and say, it's not this one. And we make the person, not the person will not hate me. The person will still like me. All right, but I'll be seeing so many revelations that God will be saying, this is not it. And I'll say, how can somebody be liking me and you are saying you are not? Who else have you provided? I didn't know that where it was leading me to was Mirella. All right, the processes may be difficult. You may even be asking yourself, does God exist? Like Jeremiah. Jeremiah told God, you have been to me altogether like a liar. He told God, the prophet of God, there's a time that each person will come to a point where he say, Father, why has thou forsaken me? If you never get to that point in the process of your life, you are not about rising. If everything was rosy from the moment you started till now, it's not God's way, because the way is narrow and the gate is straight. If you do not come to a point where you are doubting whether God created you, where you are doubting whether God really saved you, where you are doubting whether God really called you, where you are doubting whether your prayers even matter, where you are doubting whether God is even hearing what you are saying. If you never get to that point in life, it's not God that is leading you. It leads me through the path of righteousness for His name's sake. What is that path of righteousness? He said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's the path of righteousness. He said, he prepares table in the presence of my enemies. He anoints my head with oil and my cup runs over. If you never ask question, God, are you there? God has not started dealing with you. Because even Jesus said, Jesus, who is God, said, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? You see? That's it. God takes you through so many whatevers. But when you are faithful, when you are stuck to your God, in that time, God will now activate the gifting of God over your life. And the gifting of God over your life will now lead you to places, worthy places, where you don't need CV.